and AA that and all these kind of organizations that the people thought was trying to help them, we always say to them, don't accept what we say. Do the real work, do some research, and prove us to be liars. And if they do, they will become scholars in the process. And what you see, the fruits of that coming to fore. Many people who over the years who were absolute in opposition to the position of reawakening Moors, etc., are now some of your strongest supporters. Why? Because they find out this is the problem of humanity at large. And many of their social, economic, and political problems are the root of this information actually being suppressed. And as you said the other day, Dr. Naila, and I heard you in one of your conversations the other day, truth was being attacked. If someone's sincere, they don't back down when the truth was being attacked. They stand for the truth stronger. And when you see them back up from it, all masks are off and they're starting to show who they really serve. And this is one of the interesting things about this Aquarian cycle and the energies of Saturn, Uranus, and Jupiter is that they're exposing people, all of us, for whatever we claim to be. That electrical charge from Uranus is causing everything to be shaken up, and proving and having to prove whatever the claim is. So whatever gods any of us have claimed to be, in whatever capacity we've claimed it, she, they to be, you're going to have to prove it, not because I said so, because divine nature is commanding it of all living things to prove your gods. Now that's the truth. And this is what we're going through. And this is again why all institutions, whether social, political, religious, scientific, or any other discipline, is being challenged. And if you really pay attention to the operations of government at Midgard, everything is broke. Everything is broken. And humanity is quite uncomfortable right now because they have vested their lives around these institutions that they have blind faith in, and they're recognizing the collapse of everything and trying to figure out what's what. They don't need to. They need to start studying.
And they need to start listening to the things that have already been said.
Told.
That we weren't paying attention to, that when they said what they were going to do. Now they're doing what they said they were going to do, and people are all up in arms. I mean, like, I know certain things you can't say, but, in a codified way, they're dying to get the V, just to find out that when they do get it, they're going to be able to, with a mask on, go and visit their people. What's different?
And even the mask. Look at this. Even the mask.
Right. But even the mask has its own negative health effects. But you're told now, but you get it, you can put a mask on and go and see your family. But the implication is that if you haven't gotten the V, then you can't see your family.
So if
crap.
You don't accept
if you
the mark,
stop visiting your family because of this.
So that is coercion, isn't it?
Yes.
It's threat.
Or you can't fly
threat.
into here or come out of there. Or, people are so not using their divine intellect.
It's threat and coercion, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So they're saying. So again, and as you were saying, with a conversation that I overheard some when you were talking to some people, even today, and many other times, trying to aid what you can, where people even speak of their pedigree in third person.
Yeah.
Skirting around the truth, not translation, trying to find a reason not to confess their own, and thinking there's no consequence.
Well, the question today, and they might be on here, but the question, I'm not going to name them because I don't even know them. But the statement had to be something around like, aren't Moors historically, have not Moors historically been targeted and harassed and all of that, and black people?
Now,
so I'm saying, well, you're using that as a basis whether or not to declare your nationality. Well, if it's historically been done to everybody, the only thing that you can do is to counter it by actually declaring who you are. I said, because when it hits the fan, you have no nation to back you.
Now look at this, Dr. Naila. Isn't it back to the pressure? The pressure, because it's really pressure on humanity, or the charge on humanity that people have read, but is manifesting in these days. And that is looking at it from a social, political, economic position. The time has come that every man, every woman, and every child must confess their own and worship under their own vine and fig tree. And statements like that are really people feeling that pressure and trying to find an excuse not to confess their own, thinking that it's based on your opinion of them as opposed to law, divine law, that is the command upon all humanity. And back to the point, nationality is the order of the day. And nationality, or claiming of nationality, kills the straw, does not capture it, which will never be allowed, because the captivity of the corpse or the dead or the civiliter mortus is the foundation of the bloodline for the vampires or exploitation. Therefore, a vampire will never remove their fangs for you. The best thing you can do is start wearing turtleneck shirts.
Look, with silver infused turtleneck.
Stop calling it passion marks and faking yourself, because it ain't. And those Rome ain't gonna act right. That's just it. Rome must be dismantled, and the principles of fraud and fiat set forth on planet Midgard for the injury to humanity must be dismantled. There is no such thing as getting along with Romans. It must be dismantled. Like it or not, now you understand the symbol or the symbolism of the anthropomorphic Jesus coming with the double-edged sword, or what is called Adur. And that's truth.
Listen, Revelations 18:4. I'm gonna go a little Bible, because there's wisdom in the Bible.
Yeah.
It says to him, I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye." What is it? We have to come out.
Mm-hmm. That means come out of their jurisdiction.
That you receive not of her plagues, and if that's not what we're dealing with now,
absolutely. Meaning that let's look at this, Dr. Naila. No one can deny it now. The corruption is so blatant, so obvious, that even the blind can see. So people will have eyes that can't see, or have ears and refuse to hear. They can do it all they want to and say, well, let's have more stuff. Well, do what you want to do. Guess what? You ain't going to fool. You're not going to fool the divine. Don't argue with us. Argue with the divine, because It's in place now. So what you were told was coming is already here.
Come out.
So don't act like you don't see it, because you're not going to have the option to pretend anymore, because it has nothing to do with the prophets who have told you. It has everything to do with what you're experiencing today. And as soon as you start talking the truth, guess what they'll do? They'll start censoring you, shutting you down, demonetizing the speakers, demonetizing any issue or anyone that stands for truth. The truth, like Dr. Naila said, is under attack. So what do you expect? What have you not been already told? Because you've been told. So now, intelligently, we must start doing what? Dealing with it and not ignoring it. You're not going to be allowed to ignore it anymore. All we're trying to do is help you in our reawakening. Truthfully, that's all.
We all have to do this together.
Exactly.
Because we are one. I don't like it or not. Even the ones that might be disagreeable, we still are one.
We got to help each other. We got to stop the BS. Stop the divisionism. Stop the schism.
Right, because you're not getting out of this without me. And I'm not getting out of this without you.
You got that right. You got that right. You got that right. Are there any other pertinent questions?
There's a lot of things about money. Money's not,
because we don't have the convenience of, because of the the limited time that we have. We don't have the convenience of answering all your questions. So what we try to do is answer those which are generalized and those that generally help most of us who are listening, etc., or in this great missionary work and this battle of restoring some kind of legitimate civilization function on the planet, which is the responsibility of all of us. Keep that in mind. And for those of you who still don't get it, keep in mind the enforcement of the Constitution, and it's not limited to that document that you know as the Constitution for the United States, because that is derivative from Honesty Confederation, which is derivative from the Gnostic law of the ancient Sabians. And now that's the truth. So if you go back to the principles of your ancient mothers and fathers, you'll get a better view of that which constructs what is commonly dispensed around the planet, known as the common law. And you will also have a comprehension why in jurisprudence, the common law is referred to that body of law coming down from your ancient mothers and fathers, which is superior to all legislated law and other forms of law, etc. So when you're talking constitution law, when you're talking the common law, when you're talking nature's law, you're talking the law of ancient Saba. Keep that in mind. And that is researchable for all of us. And so when you're looking at the ancient Sufi philosophies, you're looking at ancient Sabian law, and it is not dogma principles, for they are based in nature's law and divine law. So don't distinguish or don't confuse dogmatic perspective of religion with true Gnostic wisdom and philosophies, which is lex, law, jurisprudence, and it is and does no injury. It does injury to no man.
Looking at symbology and so forth, I'm thinking in terms of, we've looked at Superman. There's a character, Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. And since Lex Luthor is an antagonist.
Yes, or the Antichrist. Or Antichrist.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I forget the name, but when you look at the so-called father of so-called Superman, the anthropomorphic Superman, he's an eel.
Well, Superman himself is Kyle.
Mm-hmm, of course it is, an eel. They even tell, they'll use stories.
They say Kyle, remember who you are.
Of course. Ka.
L, yeah. Ka and Ba.
Yeah, there
God.
You go. Yes. Then you look at the anthropomorphic. Jesus says, all of you are gods. As I am, all men shall be. What I've done, all men can do. And some of you will even do greater works than I have done. You understand the metaphysical and moral cosmos story behind it. The philosophy of ancient Saba. Because it's what it is. And it's researchable for anyone. And this, when you look at the evil priests over the years that created all the secularism in religion, from their motivational point of view, you'll understand why, for their selfish cause. And so you see them now having Muslims and Christians and Jews fighting each other. When if the people did study, they'll find it all has the same origin, and that they've actually been pitted against each other by design, by the wicked priesthood. The very people who they've been trusting for guidance is actually the demons, pulling them into the pit. Now, that's just the truth. Get over it and start taking responsibility. Let us study. Let us share. Let us help one another. Let us love one another. Let us do and feel and want for our brothers what we want for ourselves. Those are golden rules. And that's why they say the golden rules of Lex is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is the fundamental golden rule of constitutional construction of Lex. Therefore, the law does injury to no man, to no one.
I'm looking at this to see if there are any more. Sean Jones asks, why is there such a big push for Asian rights?
It's part of the game of creating division and diversion. At another time, they will start talking about anti-Semitism. At another time, they'll talk about Black Lives Matter. All of this is a game to create diversion and division, and it's a ploy. Don't fall for it. Just do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, and you've defeated that whole platform of fraud that's being presented over and over again to create divisions and schisms among the human family. Excuse me.
I want to say that there are many of you I've been getting texts. I'm just going to do a little interjection, requesting the USB drive. Make sure, please, that if you're ordering via Cash App as opposed to PayPal, which is better, that you send me a text as you're instructed with your address, because Cash App does not allow you to give a mailing address. So if you don't text me your address and you just say USB drive and Cash App, I don't know where to send it. I have 2 or 3 people that I haven't been able to send anything out yet to because they haven't sent me a text. I know they paid for it, but if I don't know where to send it and I can't respond on Cash App, so I'm just saying this is a PSA. We want to get your drives out to you. As a matter of fact, when this last group is out, I actually have an update I will be adding that I'm excited about. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm adding an update.
When you update in the future, can you give the appellations of the natural people who sent you without directions, so they'll be aware to fix that and to contact you? Absolutely. And hopefully, they will see it. But I want to get it out to them. But since sometimes they just send it on Cash App and they don't send me their mailing address and their appellation. Keep this in mind. So I'm telling you what I know. Dr. Naila, just before we started this session at the House of Reawakening Minds, she was sitting on the sofa, going to sleep. Dr. Naila works constantly. She's a writer, as most of you know.
I didn't speak today.
And she does conversations, lectures, and support systems on many levels, more than some of you know about, and some of you don't. She and I'm also kind of stuck in that situation. Does so many things that she really doesn't have the time in the day, but she does what she can. And I always say to her, a lot of times she gets frustrated because she tries to. Some people say do too much, but people do who they are. That's who she is. And some people are so expansive in their mind that unconsciously they end up putting more things on their table of activities than the human body practically can manage. But she does it. So please, when you communicate with her, make sure that you have your appellation and the care of location for receiving mail specifically and clearly written, so that she can communicate back to you when she's able to get to you as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. And a lot of times, and I understand a lot of times as people are reawakening or getting active, it's frustrating because we've been attacked from so many angles that people are expecting. It's not like we're here sitting at this venue all day. We have other things to do, a lot of other things to do. And much of this is not just work for the nation, but actually work for humanity at large. So and it's not an arrogant statement. Be thankful and grateful for the sacrifices that she's been making, and be considerate when you mail to her, and make everything clear, and the mailing locations too, etc., so that she can operate efficiently, because she's burdened down with a lot of work. And at the same time, we want to thank all of you who have been supporting the House of Reawakening Minds and official hours with Dr. G, official office hours with Dr. G, etc. And our main work really is sincerely trying to help in the great missionary work of uplifting fallen humanity. And logically, when you're seeking truth, you cannot paint yourself within a box. And so we deal with many subject matters, all directed to the missionary work of trying to help uplift fallen humanity, trying to help where we can, people getting out from under the Roman yoke and the miseries set forth on humanity by the hybrid Europeans who have been causing much din and destruction on the planet, and doing everything that they can to suppress the light or the ascendance of to the fifth dimension and other dimensions of the mind, of the chambers of the mind, under superliminal knowledge, etc., which is part of more science, which they've been holding back from you. So we share what we can and try to help where we can. So please be patient, take notes, study, pay attention, and help where you can make your criticisms constructive, knowing that our will is sincere to help the people, and contribute your part to the uplifting of fallen humanity, because it is the job of everyone. And as it has been said by many of the good philosophers over the centuries, freedom is everybody's job.
Absolutely. Thank you. I want to go back to some questions because we have about an hour left. Okay. In the land of Al Moroccan Vision says, in the land of lies, your truth and facts are seen as criminal. People on mainstream media push the Black Lives Matter all day, but no one mentioning more.
Of course. Now look at this. Look at the political platform set up by Skull and Bones operative known as Soros. They set up Black Lives Matter as two things that happens. The people who think that black is an African identity, not knowing that it's actually a nom de guerre designed to actually bury the truth of Moorish history in the bloodline. What can be researched through congressional journals, etc., and through fact of research, is that the platform set forth by George Soros for Black Lives Matter has netted for their private corporation operations over, I think, somewhere in the area of between $32 and $36 billion. None of it has gone to any so-called, quote unquote, black organizations. All of it has gone to, in fact, and provable, the political campaign of the Democratic Party for JB and other demo operators of the Ghoul Order of the Kykelos, etc., under the Grand Dragon, whose past form, and his name was the one who was JB was one of his Ghoul members, and that is what's his name? I forget his name.
I knew you.
Yeah, but he was a senator.
And yes. JB's wearing a mask. I don't know who's under it.
And so they're putting...
Look, we don't know who's under it, but it's definitely not...
But you already know, all of the dynamics that's going on now is a diversion because the people are reawakening. And so the truth is being treated as an enemy. This is why they're doing so much to suppress information. And it matters not what platform, from whom it comes.
And they're pushing people like LL Cool J and others to have conversations on hip hop channels with Dr. F to convince, also black people that is safe. Also, for those of you, as a side study, do the research on the non-disclosure agreement that was made or promoted towards so-called top rappers about 25 years ago, to change the rap game so that they could fill the private prisons of the magistrates who are stockholders in the private POW camps known as U.S. prisons, and targeted at all Aboriginal people, to fill the POW camps known as U.S. prison
camps, etc.
And I just sent a text link out to several people to look at that video where the Albions were discussing it and telling us exactly what happened, when it was, and why it was. And they were told if they didn't sign the NDA, they wouldn't have a seat at the table for the change, which went from, and these were the top ones. So some of these top ones are now in movies and various things they've gotten were promoted for promoting gangster rap as a method to fill the pipeline and live
youth
while they live behind gated communities and like other folks did normal, but they come out in persona to make our young people follow them, right? Not them, but follow the pipeline into the private prison.
Now you know again why, for those of you who are lovers of music, now you know why and how politically under unum sanctum operations, how the beauty and the poetic and social uplifting construction of rap music had and has become corrupted. It was not accidental. It was by design. But this is, again, part of social engineering that people need to know about. So even, as you can see, after they have used up the usefulness of many of the rap performers of these days, they actually sacrifice them. Because the U.S. corporation operatives and members of the Roman Curia have bottomry instruments and insurance policies on all of them, and they collect. And so you see them killing off musical artists, writers, performers, singers, etc., and stealing their books, or what you would call their whole stock of music, etc. And what needs to be known is that all of the operators of the musical industry, just like the pharmaceutical industry, just like the congressional military industrial complex, actually, for the U.S. corporation company, Roman Curia members actually have on the straw constructs insurance policies on every living being that think and don't counter that they are U.S. citizens. And actually, when they murder people on the streets, whether it's by the members of the gangs of New York, known as the police fraternal order, etc., or by any other operations of the military complex or of the medical industry that suppresses and murders all holistic doctors, etc., that their missionary work is to suppress truth, to suppress knowledge, and as an organized attack against humanity at large. Therefore, this ongoing work of helping to uplift fallen humanity is everybody's job. Job. Keep it in mind.
Even found out recently that allegedly the Beatles were created by MI6.
Of course it was.
As an operation, and that's one of the reasons why JL may have died, because
one of the reasons
he wanted to expose.
Yes,
in the music. They were being used
in the music
to create a frenzy.
Yes.
Both on this side of the pond and the other.
And distraction.
As were the hippie, if you read The Strange Happenings in Laurel Canyon, you'll find the craziest stuff that most of these so-called flower child groups of that back in the 60s.
They were put in place.
Sons and daughters of military
operatives
that have been programmed.
Never suspected either of people.
You got to know what's going on.
Yes.
You got to realize that it's always been. You got to realize that the movie, what was it with where he was? They were videotaping the guy the whole time. Oh gosh, the Jim Carrey. Somebody put it in there.
Truman Story.
The True Man Story.
Yeah, True Man Story.
We are living and have been living a true man story, and we've seen the camera now. We've seen the movie camera.
As soon as you start seeking the truth, what do? They put up a wall. They censor. They go against the constitutional principle divinely of what? Freedom of speech. So they've been pretending to be your government when really they're the enemy. Pretending they are a farce. They are a prima facie. They are discolored, distinguished from that which is real. They are de facto and not de jure. It's a fact.
Let me see. It is interesting. Bay Task Janae asked how, and this question came up the other day when Sister for Sharon was on. How can someone nationalize inside the prison? And the problem is that most things are blocked.
They block.
They block that.
So, and this is what people need to know too, Dr. G, that the prisons are actually POW camps.
Absolutely.
And they should be called in international law what they are designated in international law. They are prison camps, and the people, which is why they're predominantly Asiatic, tagged or branded as blacks and Latinos, predominantly, because the people are under occupation. Now, the cognizance of the pedigree and the bloodline is a birthright issue. It is not a political or religious issue. It is a pedigree issue of the bloodline of the people. Cognizance of it or knowing it is in itself the major part of nationalization, because you can't become what you already are.
That's right.
You are who your ancient mothers and fathers were and are, with no doubt, no contradiction. It is irrefutable. Therefore, reawaken to who you are. Man, know thyself. And that's for starters. And once you do, stop calling yourself the brand systems that they set up to steal your birthright. In the process, from a political administrative position, even though they're blocking you, what it does, it kills the bond systems which are necessary for their economic operations, which means the bottomry instruments set up by the pseudo Congress of and for the U.S. corporation company disguised as legitimate government, which is the basis of their economic stock market trade, collapses when you act positively upon your knowledge of being more. That's why this information is being attacked from all angles. And that's the truth. See, the deal is, like we said earlier, Rome will prompt, as the people are awakening and reawakening, Rome recognized that the danger of their rulership is people's consciousness of it. And when the people become conscious, they will put an apple out there for redemption or promise of redemption, like UCC redemption, holder in due course. Now, not that these principles aren't correct in their nature, but this is what they present. UCCs, UCC 3 and 9 financial statements, which is really a data collection, truthfully, disguised as redemption, and then use it against you. And so understand that these are dark priests that have actually been operating government. And so since you've been disarmed by intelligence, this is again where the General Education Board comes in that we talked about earlier with the Frederick T. Gates Foundation and Rockefeller Foundation. Therefore, understanding that the foundation of their operations is fiat or blind faith operations or breach of trust constructed operations by members of the Circle Church and Chancery. So every instrumentality that they will present to you will be colored. So if you approach any promise from Rome that they will return your right of estate to you, is only a trick for buying them time. My position has always been is rebut and reject Rome, and the bond will fall, and therefore all instrumentality constructed to the straw man and issued on the stock market by its very nature of operation in the rule of heirship, when the heirship becomes cognate by law that the estate must be restored to the heir from the hands of the fofer or trustee. And they breach that principle constantly. So for those of you who have even used the different commercial processes at cost, for cost, because remember, birthright is a divine right. It is not to be bought or sold. An unalienable or inalienable right cannot be converted or sold or transferred to another. Therefore, there must not be a monetary fee involved. Therefore, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and it kills the bond. And when you kill the bond, it kills their economic system. So if you shut off the blood supply, vampire, he's bad with his cape and all this stuff, but he can't play the super guy too long when he's lacking blood. Therefore, an exploiter, quote unquote, vampire needs your blood, and he needs your cooperation and consent. Stop consenting and watch the vampire die. That's what you do. Claim your nationality and kill the bond. Meanwhile, take the time to study and learn to reject all the other systems and platforms that Rome has constructed for the enslavement of humanity, and come to each and one another's aid sincerely. That's how you're going to defeat the demons, because that's the truth. Because you need each other. You really do.
So there was a question I'm trying to find. There was a comment or something about, and I'm using codes because I don't want to. So I want.
You have to, because the demons are on the platform.
I'm going to call it A and Chrome, and we know about that. They want to know, I guess, what you know about the A Chrome. But I can say, for one thing, it's very interesting. My mind went back to a particular so-called movie star that, over I think in the last year and a half or two, wife divorced him, and one of the things that was at issue was the amount of expensive wine he was buying. This expensive wine. This particular actor started
the Roman ritual of the
Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. You'll know who it is, and looking quite youthful. But the wife, one of the things the wife cited was paying like $1,000.
No, it cost around $8,000
for bottles of wine.
A pint.
It was wine in the. And
you'll see the priesthood doing this ritual too.
But it wasn't wine.
Of course, it's not.
And you see the ones that have been youthful.
It deals with child sacrifice.
Since Trump put started to
an executive order
against it. Put the executive order. Do you see how many of them have aged or disappeared altogether? Mm-hmm. Because they haven't had their $8,000 wine.
It's one of the reasons why I said, a year ago or more, about 2 years ago, when I started saying that I'm not defending, don't confuse me saying what I'm saying or what I've said with support of. Just look at this thing from a metaphysical point of view. When I said that Donald Trump is assigned. He is assigned. Pay attention.
Yeah.
And I said that years ago, and I'm saying it again. And I'm telling you why I said it.
Mm-hmm. So there are, I highly recommend Noble Mormon, that Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, Laurel Canyon, Covert Ops in the Dark Heart of the Hippie Dream. That is a very, very eye-opening book. Currently also I'm reading, Sister Cynthia turned me on, Martin L., to the Wilmington, the lie that happened in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Oh, yes.
And can you, I just got, because somebody called me about this, and I just got Peter Moon's Montauk Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
Because the person that told me about it was really, really just over the moon by the fact, over the moon, no pun intended, about the fact that I guess Noble Drew Ali is mentioned in that.
Yeah, I talked to Peter Moon a few years back.
And the conspiratorial things that took place with other
the betrayed organizations, yes.
Yeah, so you got an album,
which is available in the congressional records, actually. Yeah. Also in the for those of you who are researchers, give you some reference. The history of American religions, you'll find some of the documented facts that Peter Moon also mentioned in reference to Noble Drew Ali, and you'll recognize other so-called black organizations that claim Islam were breakoffs under COINTELPRO operations to actually divert people from the Moorish Divine and National Movement by design to create schism. And it's a known fact. And it's also one of the uncomfortable pieces of information that was exposed to Il Malik, known to most as Malcolm X, when he made the Hajj by a French Muslim, etc. When, of course, according to instructions, Malcolm went over there talking black and white, and he was corrected about the truth of the schisms that were operating at the Maghreb, which is actually here, Morocco, the most extreme west. And he was put in a very uncomfortable position. And also that knowledge, among other things, and revelation of that knowledge made Malcolm become, by not from his fault, but just from being exposed to other knowledge, he became the target of character assassination and the conspired person of assassination by members of the gangs of New York and other persons claiming to be religious who were supposed to be his brothers in concert to remove his life, because they knew that he was eventually telling certain truths that made a lot of people uncomfortable. So it's more about Malcolm X that many of you all need to research. Truthfully, that's not told to many people in public.
And folk know, I mean, people know, a lot of people know that know we need to listen to. And I'm planning to have some more people on, guests rather, on Office Hours with Dr. G. They may be European, but they're speaking the truth. I was just in a conference the other day who had Richard Smith and his wife Maria had, and thank you to my sister Cynthia Martin L. And there was a modern European daughter there, teach Michelle Gibson.
Oh yeah, Michelle Gibson.
Michelle Gibson,
a scholar and a researcher,
speaking the truth about us and doing it from a standpoint of not trying to show historical research, and the fact that when she found out what the truth was,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So she's doing everything she can to expose the truth.
And keep in mind, as we go through this trauma, some will call it transition, some will call it apostasy, some will call it Armageddon. All means the same thing. Those who put themselves on the line to help with the uplifting of fallen humanity during this time of turmoil will be remembered. Keep that in mind. Those who have the courage to stand against the odds and tell the truth in this time of turmoil, where the dark priesthood and vampires are at the height of their power and are attacking anything that deals with the activation of the pineal gland, or with justice, or with that which is right, or anything that's de jour, or anything that is Moorish. Keep in mind, those who aid in the help of uplifting fallen humanity will be remembered.
Let me see if there's any more comments. Yeah. What nation does one such as self-Caucasian claim ancestry is Ukraine, or is that a different situation? I've been watching your work for years, so full of knowledge you give. Thank you. This is from Ukraine.
Now, still, if you look at Ukraine, you still look back to the daughters of Nefertiti. You're still looking at Saba. Once you really begin to look at the history and the walk of man, you'll find that we're one big family that fell into schism by the hands of the dark priests of the world. Now, that's the truth. Another thing that you can look at, like for the brothers and sisters from Ukraine, look at your traditional dress, your traditional, what they'll call them now, rather than call them traditional garb, they'll call them traditional costumes all over the world. Look at the constructs of your traditional dress, your traditions, your customs, and then look at the etymology of your linguistic forms, and it'll trace you back again to the ancient Sufi, i.e., the men with the hair like lamb's wool, i.e., Saba, Sabi. That's the truth. So you know, it's sort of like we're suffering all over this planet from the hybrid Europeans claiming to be us, but who are not us, who have been practicing destroying the original culture of Asia, Africa, and separating humanity and hiding the truth of the walk of man, and therefore making people think that your contemporary names of the different nation states has separated you from the truth of African origin when the planet is Africa. So keep that in mind. So look at the customs, look at the dress, and then look at the ancient customs and dress of ancient Saba or Africa or the Gnostics, and you will see absolute and direct constructive conjoined similarity showing you the origin. So also look at the ancient Naga. There you go. It's traceable. It's just that there's been so much denial that people, you know, so much effort